So that's my point, and that's why I do what I do. So if you don't understand the method, it's cool. It's fine. So yesterday, 9 hours, it was crazy. 4 hours of that was, talking to Asmongold, and oh, he got banned. I didn't realize he was banned. Regardless, that is not the main point. The point is that a shit ton of people were apparently upset with me. They were like, annoying leftist mad at you again. That's fine. That's like neither here nor there. That's not like a big constituency. A lot of people, I think, don't understand this. But like, yeah, when I'm talking to Asmongold, I'm not talking just to Asmongold. I'm talking to motherfuckers exactly like Asmongold. You know what I mean? And there's millions of them out there. Hey, watched your Asman video. Is there any reason why you didn't bring up how it was just being racist? I did multiple times directly to him. And then not only did I do that, but I also walked him through the steps of how it was. It takes a ton for him to reconsider his stances. It's not about him reconsidering his stances. It's not. It's about people in the margins that are in his audience that are going to look at the situation differently after that conversation. I really do love you, man, but I question the efficacy of yesterday. He's a giant POS. That I get that there might be some people in the margins of his community, but if we're watching him through this arc, is very likely much on board already, and he just used you as a 3-hour attempt to rehab his image of truly incomprehensible shit he said and believes. Yeah, I don't see it that way at all. I don't think he rehabbed his image at all throughout that process. But here's the thing. The way I view it is, and I will describe this one more time for many of you that simply fail to comprehend this. I rate everything on a curve. That's number one. Number two, I have this understanding, especially as someone whose name is Hasan, who is like a white dude, but still someone who grew up in Turkey, someone who is Muslim, from a Muslim background. I know that the average person is unimaginably Islamophobic. I've dealt with it for damn near a decade since I came to the United States of America. Okay. When I'm talking to a person individually and maintaining my composure and working through the steps, step by step, and explaining why someone is bigoted or someone's opinion is wrong or bigoted, offering historically relevant information, there is a reason for that. The reason is I might not change his mentality. Other events might play a larger role in his mentality changing on this matter. But there are a shit ton of people who are watching him who are going to respond to that patience, especially respond to the way that I'm communicating, and most likely be more charitable to what I have to say, okay, on any number of different fronts. Because that entire conversation is an information faucet for me, utilizing virtually every opportunity to talk about different aspects of how, for example, freedom of speech is revoked, things that a lot of people in his community might not be aware of. It's not like I agreed on his framing. It's not like I agreed to anything he was saying. That's my goal. My goal is to change people's minds. Do you understand? Even if his perspective might not change on the matter, there's plenty of people in his community that are going to look at the situation differently. And if I get 100 people in Asmongold's community to look at the situation a little bit differently, learn something new that they hadn't known, then that's it. That's my goal. I've succeeded. Yeah. If there was any moment where I was like conceding to his framing on the matter, that would be an entirely different conversation. I'm not going to go in front of like a Ben Shapiro type, for example, who I would categorize as simply different than Asmongold as well. But even if I were to go in front of a Ben Shapiro type and have like a relatively cordial conversation, which I would not be able to maintain composure in a similar capacity to Ben Shapiro. He's a professional speaking head. He's a talking head. But here's the thing. There's never going to be a world where I concede to his framing on anything, just like I did not concede to Asmongold's framing on anything either. And that's how you get comments like this. This debate perfectly illustrates my own internal struggle when it comes to forming a kind and normal view of Middle Eastern people. I come from Poland, raised in a conservative family. I watch a lot of Asman, and I love Hasan's commentary and the way he presents his arguments with solid factual backing. Listening to this for 3 hours and seeing the insane amount of patience and collection Hasan has had throughout, and also listening to Asman repeat his point that I used to share over and over again. Actually, okay, well, we don't have the rest of the comment. Couldn't it be said that his perspective gained more ground too? No, absolutely not. Because his perspective is already the most commonly held perspective in the United States of America. What more ground does his perspective need to get? You understand what I'm saying? You feel me? Shot on my second link actually helped me finally see how weak, stupid, and sad such belief is. Thank you, Hasan, for doing what you do. My life has become healthier because of you. There you go. People forget that streamers like you and Asman are talking to stadiums full of people every day. A lot of minds can be changed and it's not too late for them. Yes, there's never a person who I think is above having their mind changed. Okay, I think there's no one that is above having their mind and their heart changed. Now, of course, tactically speaking, there are certain people that I'm not going to be as charitable to, you know, a Ben Shapiro type or a professional right-wing commentator or someone in a position of actual power. You have to understand, my commentary is like water, okay? And if you want to understand my method, basically my method is simple. I give back the same energy that I take. That's number one. Number two, I'm not going to concede to like shit that I don't agree with, no matter what. But more importantly, I also am consistently, and this is something that like I think marginalized people who are professional commentary people understand this. Like always, there's always something in the back of your mind. Like if you are a black political commentator, you know that every single thing that you say is going to be under a microscope by a broad audience of predominantly white people who do not have your understanding of the world, who have never empathized with your position. So if you get really angry, for example, that they're going to, even if you're completely correct, it does not matter. The facts in that situation, no matter how hard they are on your side, are irrelevant. Okay. This is just simply how debates and how commentary and how, you know, existing in America in some ways works. That's it. So I am cognizant always of not only the person that I'm talking to and the energy that they give me that I choose to match, but beyond that, I'm also always thinking about the audience and the way that they are responding to it. You made a video when I was in middle school that my mom showed me before we moved to Dearborn Heights, Michigan, because she wanted me to understand things after she left her racist husband. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. So that's my point, and that's why I do what I do. So if you don't understand the method, it's cool, it's fine. And you can usually say this about any other kind of like marginalized identity that I seek to protect or talk about. You can be like, you're cis. Man, you don't understand trans issues like that. Why are you arguing with transphobes in the way that you want to argue that you think is the most successful method and not in the way that I want you to argue? And you can say that because I'm a cis guy. I'm not trans. So you're right. I mean, you're wrong ultimately because I know what I'm doing and you don't. but I get it. So it's funny when white people try to overstep and do that shit, but it's fine. You do you. It's the same thing I say about any kind of group that I defend, that I talk about. It's not for you. If I'm talking about black issues with someone who's anti-black, that's not for black people, bro. That's not. It's for white people. There's a conversation for white people. Most of the conversations that I have when I am talking to an outside group is specifically targeted towards young white men. Okay. So if you sometimes feel like I'm out of pocket in the way that I'm communicating certain things and it makes you feel a certain type of way, it makes you feel angry. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not for you. You already know where I stand. Trust me. Okay. Do you get what I mean? You already know what being a black person in America looks like. You live it every day. You already have a certain amount of lived experience. Okay. You might be able to brush up on certain talking points and effective counters or whatever in terms of messaging when you watch a debate that I might have with someone who's anti-black, but you already have that lived experience. I'm talking to people who don't have that lived experience. I'm using my privilege specifically as an effective communicator that looks a certain way, that acts a certain way, that behaves a certain way to break through on a lot of people who would never listen to a black person because of their anti-black status from the start. The goal is to chip away at that because bigotry is quite resilient, especially when it's consistently being propped up by social conditioning. And that's it. Give it a break, Lamau. No, I'm not going to give it a break. This is like fundamentally something that I believe in, something that I care about, something that I think I'm quite successful at, as a matter of fact. And no, I'm not going to give this a break. Okay, but don't get upset if I check you. I forget this isn't for me. I wish more people were progressive on blackness. It's just us defending ourselves. I mean, good luck. It's impossible. His entire society is designed in an incredibly anti-black fashion. It's just like, you know, my job, where I see myself is someone who is a communicator of these sorts of issues to people who would not be responsive in any other circumstance. Like someone who's anti-trans is not, especially in a debate format, is not going to be responsive to a trans person. That's the unfortunate reality, right? So my goal is to penetrate that barrier as being a bro, cishet white dude. You feel me? As opposed to like in the real world, the number one thing that you can do as a trans person to combat transphobia is just like be a normal, chill trans person existing in the real world and hanging out with your coworkers